Everyone, welcome to yet another episode of Chris and Matt Watch That. Or wait, I'm mixing my old podcast up. Chris and Matt Talk About That. We did watch something. So this is our fourth episode.
What if we're just using AI and we're pretending to watch?
That would be so awesome. We just record enough of our voices that we do the rest of the episodes as AI generated. Or like there's an episode we don't want to watch.
I disagree. That's unawesome.
So DS9 Season 1 Episode 4. I like that we did that preview episode because now our episodes match up with the DS9 episodes.
Yeah.
So in the future, we'll just have to make sure that we do all like the double episodes at the same time. So today we have a guest. Chris, you want to introduce our guest?
Today we have the prettiest podcast guest ever on the show. It is my wife, Lela, and she has a theater background and an education background, and she's here to tell us all sorts of things about this episode from that perspective. And she's also a woman, which is another perspective that Matt and I don't have. We have all sorts of stuff. So Lela, can you say hello?
I can. Hello.
All right. So that's Lela's voice, in case you were wondering.
In case you're confused.
Confusing. Yeah, it could have really been a problem. Sounds a lot like you guys.
It does. You do sound like us. You just have to listen for the beard not rustling in the microphone.
Yeah, I can hear every time.
Right there. Can you hear that? Yeah.
Yes.
So Lela has been watching along. I have a question, Lela. Do you like Star Trek? I can't imagine you hate it. Living with Chris, that'd be pretty difficult.
So yeah, I like Star Trek, and I grew up watching Voyager with my family, and I've seen I saw all the movies. It is not an obsession of mine, but I like it. I think it's good television overall.
Have you watched any of Star Trek Deep Space Nine before?
Yes, but a lot of it was the later versions of the show, the later seasons.
All
and
right.
so I don't remember the first season at all.
Okay.
But I did know the characters for sure.
All right. Well, let's get into this episode. It's written by Gerald Sanford and Michael Piller. Michael Piller is, of course, the showrunner. Michael Piller had experience writing murder mystery procedurals in the 80s, so he wrote on Simon & Simon, Miami Vice, and Cagney and Lacey. And I think that matters for this episode because it's really just kind of a paint-by-numbers murder mystery procedural in a lot of ways. If you ever watched Murder, She Wrote, or Matlock, this episode follows a lot of that formula. Some background, or a little bit of trivia. This is actually the first episode filmed after the pilot. They aired past prologue first instead, presumably to better submit Kira's character. I'm guessing they viewed Kira as a more important character than Odo.
I would suggest it's because the other episode is better than this one.
Well, we're jumping ahead, but I agree 100% on that. I definitely agree. Another piece, the episode was meant to be a cheaper episode that would come under budget, and instead it's one of the most expensive episodes they ever made for Deep Space Nine.
That makes sense to me.
Of all the money they spent rebuilding the promenade. So in the promenade in the pilot, they built the promenade, then kind of tore it down to make the promenade look like in shambles, and then they rebuilt it. And there's also lots of extras in this episode on the promenade. Particularly, I know in that one scene where they crowd around Odo's office. Our Ferengi pit boss from the pilot is renamed to Rom.
Yeah, he gets a name.
Yes.
He's not the character we know as Rom later, though, in this episode, which is weird.
Yes, and Rom becomes one of the more important. He basically becomes like a main cast member, right?
Towards the end, definitely the Dominion War arc. He's very important to the storyline, but his character is very different in this episode. He's generic Ferengi number 3, but they gave him a name because his kid had a name.
Okay,
is what it feels like.
Yeah. So there's a Star Wars reference in this episode. If you look at Ibadan's log, it states he left the Alderaan spaceport.
Yes, I noticed that.
And this episode title, A Man Alone, it is pretty clever triple entendre, referring to Odo's isolation as a murder suspect. Refers to Ibadan being murdered with no one else in the room, and Bashir's romantic loneliness.
Romantic. Yeah, we'll go with romantic.
Yeah.
I also would like to maybe submit that it could be a quadruple entendre, because this involves the relationship between O'Brien and Keiko, and the idea of a man alone without a woman is discussed in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get into that. I mean, we already talked. Well, just overall thoughts. We kind of already talked that. We kind of don't think it's the best. At least I don't really think this is the best episode. The most interesting stuff is the stuff with Keiko, which is just very brief B story, B plot in this episode. But did you guys like this episode? I didn't think it was horrible, but
I didn't mind. I'm a sucker for police procedurals and detective story stuff, so I kind of like it for that. Also, I like Odo, and for the reasons we talked about last podcast. Rene Auberjonois is the best actor in this season, and everything he does is just he brings some believability to it. I also think that I lost it. Sorry, the ADHD struck there. I looked down and there were notes, and I'm like, oh yeah, I took notes. Oh, I forgot about that note. Sorry about that.
Do you like this episode?
Do I like this episode? Yeah. Sorry. Get me back on track. Somebody give me a pill. I didn't dislike it. There are things about it I don't like, and this feels like a filler episode. This is okay. We need another one. So, is what it felt like to me. And there's also some really weird stuff with big ramifications that they really kind of gloss over in this episode, which is just terrible. Sorry, you were going to say something, Lela?
Yeah, well, so for me, I didn't necessarily think it was filler as much as this was character-based again.
Yes.
You needed to be able to see Odo in his character development, and learn more about his background and how he deals with or has dealt with what he feels is justice. And I'll get to it eventually when you ask the question, but I think that involves what I think is the basis of this episode is that moral dilemma of justice. But it's important to see how he dealt with it before, how he continues to want to deal with it, and how it is changing, and the politics of the station are changing completely, and he needs to learn. So I think it's necessary for character development. I don't think they needed to do what they did in order to have that character development. I think they could have done it in a lot of different ways. So in that sense, I don't necessarily like the episode, but I understand why they did it. I just feel like they could have done a lot of what they did in different ways.
Yeah,
this was arc.
The writers clearly on a whiteboard had this Odo episode. We need an episode for every character at the beginning of the season to establish them. This was clearly Odo was written on it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I agree. I wish it was less of just a mystery procedural and kind of more focused on Odo's what he goes through as someone who is completely unique and alone on the station. Not in the station, in the universe. As far as he knows, there's nobody else that exists that is like him. And so this episode touches that on a little bit, on how he's ostracized, but the beef of narrative of this is just there's a mystery of who killed this guy, and that's most of the minutes of the episode pertain to that. And it's, I don't know, I don't personally find that super interesting. There's a lot of TV shows that are like that. I mean, you can watch CSI and all that.
And CSI does it better than this episode did.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
The writing struggles at times. It's not as bad as it could be. The writing is still pretty okay for this episode, but it isn't the best.
Yeah, I mean, I like Matlock and I like Murder, She Wrote. I used to watch that with my grandparents, and if you watch enough of those, there's patterns of how those episodes are written, and you can almost be like, okay, this is clearly they're writing this guy to make you think he's the suspect, but in reality, you can tell they're trying to throw you off, and this episode has that trope as well.
Well, the thing about this episode that was weird is it felt like they wanted you to kind of wonder if it was Oda who did it, and I never did.
No, I don't necessarily think they wanted you to think as much as they wanted you to think about the question of what makes you think somebody is guilty. How quick would you jump to, well, all the evidence points to this person, like the crowd did, and at what point is justice brought to pass? Because even Odo was like, no, I think he needs to be thrown off the ship. Well, he didn't do anything. Okay, well, he needs to be gone, right?
Lela, it's a space station, not a ship. Okay.
Whatever. So I think, though, that, we're jumping the gun. If you want to go through it piece by piece, then we're jumping the gun. But that is what I felt was part of this. I also think it's interesting. You guys are focusing on the murder mystery. To me, this felt like a Western. This felt like he's the sheriff in town, and he's going about trying to be justice in the new frontier. And a piece of the new frontier is even a line specifically by Quark. Everybody wants a piece of the new frontier. The wormhole is bringing people here. We are a new frontier. How do we make this a lawful area? And the sheriff having to deal with that he can't just do what he wants.
I wonder if that's why I kind of liked this episode a little bit more than it sounds like either of you liked it, because I'm a sucker for Westerns too, and I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't make that connection, but it has a lot of the Western tropes in it, and so that's probably why I was like, this isn't so bad.
Well, let's get into it. So the teaser, this is a really short teaser in this episode. Dr. Bashir, well, Dax is playing some kind of game, right, where she's trying to manipulate a holographic sphere with her mind.
She's playing manipulative mind games.
Yeah. Literally, yes. And Bashir comes in and attempts to flirt with her.
Ugh,
and she at this point, she's either playing hard to get or she is not straight up turning him down, I don't feel like, but
I will give you my womanly opinion on this.
Okay. Do you want to do the womanly opinion first, or do you want to hear the dudes say their stuff first?
I would love to hear what you guys thought of this opening.
If women have a capability to torture men when they're not very blunt, if a man is deeply interested in someone and a woman's not deeply blunt about not being interested, and some men are even immune to bluntness, but
the scary ones.
Yes, but it helps to be blunt and shut it down. And my feeling, this is just my male point of view, it doesn't seem like she's completely shutting him down.
See, when I watched it and I saw, especially how Terry Farrell plays it, because I've seen those expressions on women before, which is like, please leave me alone. That's the expression I kind of got on her face. And my note here says, cold open cringe, Bashir ignoring Dax, not wanting him to be flirting with her, because she is constantly changing the subject to something else. This is the game. This is what I'm doing. I have plans.
She jokes with him, though. She
jokes with him?
She's serving him back.
Yes. She gets him back with like, oh, you think you're good? And it turns a little thing on, like, okay, you have it now, and it just explodes right away. And
so much for super genius, man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so I don't think he was a super genius when he was written. The more I look at this, I don't think that was the intent. I don't think.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil too much for future
I feel like there's a little Ron Moore happening in here.
Yeah,
is what's going on.
I agree.
And the more I'm watching the first season, the more I realize that the Julian Bashir that's one of my favorites, my favorite character, is the late season Bashir, where he's not this awkward, weird kind of, you just want him to be quiet. Please just stop talking. Please stop talking.
He's this season's Wesley.
Yeah,
I think he's Wesley.
And hang on. So, Julian Bashir is not my favorite character in the opening season. In fact, I think I'm leaning more towards Odo in the I don't know.
I want to say that I'm very happy that you're saying this right now, because in the earlier podcasts, when you're like, Julian Bashir is my favorite character, and I was like, he what? Because I started watching and went, I hate this guy. I can't believe that you identify with this person.
Like I said, I'm remembering later season Bashir, early season Bashir. Oof. I just see a lot of him. I don't want to take no for an answer, and so I won't hear no for an answer.
Yes. So that is my first immediate response as a woman. He comes in and immediately steamrolls Jadzira. Will not listen to a thing she says. She tries to be like, Julian, we need to have a discussion about relationships. Oh, well, then we can do it over wine. And then she goes, Julian, what are you doing? Right? He will not listen to her, period. So she knows that if she full on says, no, I'm not interested, it will not matter. And at that point, in a woman's mind, a man becomes dangerous. He is dangerous. The only reason that she is joking, I think, with him is because she, as Dax, knows he's not actually dangerous. He's kind of stupid. And that's when she tries to actively show him, this is how stupid you are to me, by giving him reins to that game. Trying to show him, look, I'm older than you. Oh, I've just been trying it over 100-something years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've just been trying to do that for that long. And he goes, oh, okay, right? Like it's not making him back off. That was her first hint. That was her hint. I'm older than you. I'm bigger than you, right? Here, have a try. Clear your mind. Oh, you smell amazing. Shut up, right?
Yeah,
like,
that was the part that made me go, ooh.
Right. He won't. The entire time he is not listening to her. He will not take anything but what he wants to hear. And he has made it quite clear. And so she doesn't feel like she can say anything to him. So she has to try and get him to recognize what she is feeling by pushing it to him, making him feel inferior in some way, right? Not that she thinks she is necessarily better than he is, but that he needs to recognize, I am not romantically interested in you. What I would argue is that she should not be calling him by his first name.
That was a weird thing to me.
She should be calling him Dr. Bashir if she wanted to get her point across. And she's the only one calling him Julian, which is strange to me.
I wonder if it's because they were on the ship together, and I also think the writers were trying to set up a will they won't they very poorly.
Yeah.
But I don't know. But she, I believe, calls him Julian pretty much for the whole show.
Yeah. And it could be they were on the same ship, and they might know each other a little bit better. But it doesn't seem like they know each other very well at all to me.
Or just Bashir wasn't listening.
Yeah. But that was, as a woman, that was immediately how I felt. And the smiles and the shaking of her head that she generally gives it's more of a, instead of, oh, he's slightly amusing, I don't think she's amused by him. I have done that myself, where it's like, what am I going to do? There's nothing I can do.
I have a note here that says Jadzia is almost openly angry, is what I got from that scene.
I'll need to rewatch this. I don't know. I didn't get that feeling from it. I felt like
I would argue that most men don't. I actually looked at this. I was actively trying to find a woman's response to this opener, and I never found one. All I found were men talking about it. And when they were talking about it, it was either, oh, she was kind of flirty back, or, oh, she didn't tell him no for sure, or, oh, she seems a little bit amused by him. And I was sitting there going, I didn't get that at all. I didn't get that take at all. The only thing that gives me pause to my read on it is that she calls him Julian. And that could just be writers being writers. But if she were truly uncomfortable and wanted him to just leave her alone, she should be calling him Dr. Bashir.
So I do want to get into Dax, into my kind of analysis of the Trill. So Dax says that she's been trying to master the game for 140 years, which really submits the fact that Dax retains all of her memories from previous hosts. Dax being the Trill bug inside of Jadzia, right? So Trill, in my opinion, are a physical manifestation of the idea of reincarnation. In Europe, one of the primary peoples to believe in reincarnation were the Celts. The Celts were Middle European people who later migrated to the British Isles. The idea of the immortal soul goes back like thousands of years. Not all Europeans believed that when you died, your soul remained on this plane of existence. The Celts did. Caesar wrote about the Gauls, who were a Celtic people, and how they had no fear of death as they just viewed it as another chapter in life. So in modern times, religions that really focus on reincarnation are Eastern religions. You kind of might say that exists in Christianity with baptism and being reborn, but that doesn't include death, which I think is a necessary prerequisite for reincarnation. Baptism is more about transformation. Your past self isn't a separate being in the baptism. It's a transformation of one being being transformed. With Dax, there is a death. The person who was Curzon is dead. Curzon Dax does not exist. Modern Eastern religions that really believe in reincarnation are Hinduism and Buddhism. Those are the biggest two. Buddhism's idea of the soul is more abstract. In Hinduism, the soul is the Atman, and the continuous cycle of rebirth is the samsara. The being that Atman moves into during each cycle is determined by one's karma. The goal of this internal cycle, the samsara, is to reach moksha, which is true understanding. So moksha frees you from the cycle, and when you're freed from the cycle, you reach eternal bliss, merging with Brahman, which is the Brahman is the internal infinite consciousness, the indivisible essence underpinning all existence. In Eastern traditions, reincarnation is about escaping from this reality, from this realm, where in Western traditions, it's more about reincarnation is more about just another chapter, just in this realm, it's just a part of this natural existence. What really separates the Trill from kind of our human the traditional view of tradition is that the traditional view of reincarnation is that they have concrete memories of previous lives or hosts. So the idea in like Hinduism is that your memories are wiped when you're born. And so, but young children will have kind of access to memories of past life sometimes, or if you're an adult, you really only can access those previous memories through intense meditation. I kind of feel like it would have been interesting if Dax would have lost some of those Curzon memories, kind of became less Curzon and more Jadzia as the show went on. That would have been something difficult for Cisco to take on.
Sure. But I would argue that this isn't necessarily reincarnation because the parasite is the same.
The parasite's kind of in control.
Well, the idea in reincarnation is the soul is the same as your
Right.
soul travels
Sure.
through beings, the soul is other than gaining through enlightenment, the soul is kind of unchanging. But that was my question. Are the Trill immortal? Do they have a lifespan?
The symbionts live between 700 and 1,000 years,
Okay.
and then they die. They do have an expiration date.
They ever say anything about like what their kind of beliefs? Do they have like metaphysical beliefs or anything? Do they really delve into Trill like culture or
There
anything?
are some Trill episodes. I don't remember them well, which isn't a good sign. But it's also been a very long time.
That's kind of my view of what the idea of the Trill were when they were first put into TNG and then expanded on in DS9 here, is that it's a physical manifestation of of like the soul.
I can see that read. As a creative myself, I don't think they put that much thought into it. I think it feels to me that it is pretty surface level. The idea of a race of people that accept it is a parasite, right? Like
That's not a very esoteric view.
Sorry,
to hold.
it's a symbiote, but it's a parasite, and they accepted it and let it be part of their culture because it needed a host. And
I imagine that they just took them at first, and
yeah,
before
probably,
they
and then they're
became
like, I guess
symbiote.
we'll have an actual relationship
Yeah.
here. But it seems to me that it's pretty surface level and not necessarily. I don't think they were trying to represent the idea of reincarnation, but
Yeah,
I can
'cause
see that.
The thing is where for me where the reincarnation thing breaks down is Jadzia was a person before she got the symbiote. Curzon was a person before he got the symbiote. That person blends with the symbiote's personality and they become almost a new person. It's like you're gaining life experience all at once and having that, because people become different people as they get older. And so there's the reincarnation thing. I know a lot of trans folks are super into Jadzia because they see her as a trans allegory.
Yeah, I would say it was more trans than it was reincarnation.
But I think that breaks down a little bit because we're not. Jadzia is still Jadzia. She's just a part of Dax. Curzon died. Dax was a part of Curzon. They're not. Curzon and Jadzia are not the same person, but Jadzia Dax remembers being Curzon Dax. So
that's why I see it like a type of reincarnation, because the soul of Dax is transferred into a new being.
Yeah,
that's the step of reincarnation. Curzon dies, the soul of Dax is transferred into Jadzia. Jadzia becomes a new person with the same soul.
So, I mean, like I said, I see it. The thing that I think I remember them doing later on is Dax remembers being blended with these other people, but the farther back it goes, the blurrier it gets. I know there's an episode where they have to revisit some of her earlier hosts, including one Lela Dax.
Yes, I do know that.
Who is spelled the same way, actually.
Oh wow!
And but they have to do some kind of technobabble guided meditation magic to get her to see those memories again. So I think the memories do fade.
Her friends are manifestations of those.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's interesting. So that's actually kind of weight behind your allegory for reincarnation, which is it. I mean, whatever allegory they were going for, the Triller an interesting concept, and Jadzia Dax is a really interesting character.
Well, a lot of times I think artists might not be putting a lot of thought into what they are creating, but because the image that they're creating is based on a previous image that they've experienced, a lot of times there's still depth, even though the effort for depth wasn't put in. But
so I wasn't saying that artists don't put thought into what they're
you
creating.
could be totally right, Leo. I'm not arguing with you. You could be right that they didn't put a lot of thought into it. They just saw it as this neat sci-fi thing.
Yeah.
But I'm saying even with having not put a lot of thought into it, just the idea of this transference that they put in just instinctually because they're recreating a previous thing that they've experienced, the history of that experience. I mean, we're kind of getting into like simulacra kind of theory stuff, but anyways, I got one more thing I'm going to get deep on in this episode, but we'll move on here. But
well, I want to say that art is subjective. It is, and that is when people say that, yeah, the artist could have put a very specific take into it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that is what is read. And I had to learn that a very difficult way when I was in school with performance, where I had created a performance based on my own past, based on my own traumas. And
I remember this.
Yeah, and it was performance art, which is always less, hammer on the nail. You don't know what performance art is supposed to be. You are supposed to interpret it. And the audience participated in a way that I was not expecting them to participate. And it kind of made the trauma worse. And when I approached my professor, because this was a class, and I was like, I think, may I do this again? And her response was essentially no. That was your performance. That was performance art, and they interpreted it, and that is the point of it. And so, even though it's not what you wanted them to read, that in essence doesn't matter. Honestly, the professor should have done a better job in talking to me about it. But the lesson is true, that if you put art out into the world, you don't get to say, this is how you do it, which is why in theater, Shakespeare is so wonderful, because Shakespeare there's hardly any direction in the script. I have read scripts where the stage direction is so precise, and the writer is like, you have to do it this way because that's what's in their brain. And if the director goes, well, I don't understand what you want. What is this? It limits it. If they want it precise, then you need to direct a film so that it's the same every single time, but
that's too expensive.
It is, actually. We know that. But the idea of art going out and everybody must interpret it the same way is ridiculous. So if your interpretation is such, then that is a valid interpretation. I simply disagree. And that's fine.
And then that's funny what you're saying. Then you have someone like George Lucas, who I think fights his audience and re-edits his art because he doesn't like how
because the chin
audience
took
interprets
over.
it.
The chin took over. It was fine, and then as the chin got bigger, he got worse. There's a trill parasite in his chin, and he's becoming Lucas Dax.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the first act. So, in Cork's bar, Odo spots Ibudan, who's going to be one of our main characters for this episode, a Bajoran black marketeer he had previously imprisoned during the Cardassian occupation. Odo physically confronts Ibudan and orders him to leave the station within 26 hours. Cisco reprimands Odo, reminding him that he must operate strictly within the law. Meanwhile, Keiko O'Brien expresses frustration to her husband Miles about having no professional purpose on the station. Later that evening, Ibudan is found stabbed to death in a locked holosuite. So all that murder stuff that I just read, to me, is whatever. The interesting part is that one scene with Keiko and Miles talking. I do want to say before you guys go, the double-decker set for Cork's bar is awesome. It's so good.
I have a note about that. Yeah,
the sound design for the gambling machine to me is incredible. The whole aesthetic for the Cork bar, which is itself a character in this show for the 7 seasons that it's on, is so good.
I love that the woman at the table's only line was double.
She's a Dabo girl. That's what the Dabo girls do.
Dabo. Yeah. So I love the scene with Keiko and Miles. A lot of times in fiction, when women have issues with their spouse, the audience, even a lot of times the female viewers, will end up resenting the woman because she's written kind of as a roadblock to whatever the man is trying to accomplish. So Breaking Bad's a great example of this. I mean, the main character is trying to basically do evil, but we as the audience want to see him do it, and his wife's getting in the way, and so we just learn to despise her. This wasn't written that way. What did you guys think of this scene?
So there's one thing in this Act 1 bit that isn't really included, and I guess it's part of it was part of Act 1. There's a really, really good conversation between Cisco and Dax about how she's not Curzon, and you can see how painful it is for Cisco to accept that his mentor is in a way dead and isn't coming back. And Jedzi is like, hey, it's okay. This happens to people who are friends with Trill. It's okay if we're not as close. And Cisco's like, dang it, no, you're my buddy. And he doesn't want to let his buddy go. And I thought that was a really moving scene. Onto the question about Keiko, I remember thinking of Keiko as a roadblock. And I watched this and I sympathized with her a lot. And it was more of, she's not blaming O'Brien so much as she's just trying to express her frustration that they've went from the utopia of the Enterprise D, and now we're in this garbage backwater station that may or may not kill our daughter because who knows what it's about.
You're on the frontier now. You went from big city to frontier.
But she did forget that the Enterprise was fighting the Borg. So, I mean, there's pros and cons, but I guess, at least they all die together.
Khan is already dead.
So, but I thought that it actually shows their relationship as while there's a rocky bar, it actually shows there's a reasonably healthy relationship, because O'Brien isn't dismissing her concerns.
Yes.
He's trying to offer solutions.
He knows she's right.
Yeah. It's not even that she's right, he's wrong, or anything. There's not a right or wrong here. This is just where the career has taken him. And while he's excited for the opportunity, he's seeing the cost it's taking on his family, so he's considering going back to, requesting a posting somewhere else. He wants his family to be happy, and there's this great thing, she's like, I feel so useless. There's nothing for a botanist to do. And he's like, wouldn't it be great if there were plants here? Think about all that. And he's not trying to belittle her. He's just like, what about this? This is something you could do. And as someone who has tried to help his wife through difficult times, I often try to fix the problems, which isn't necessarily, that's the male response. Oh, you have problem? I fix. Right. I fix. But that's not always the solution. It's, instead of let me do that for you, it's here are opportunities for you to feel useful. Here are opportunities, not saying my wife isn't useful. I have many uses for my wife.
Oh my
but Keiko is just trying to find her place, and O'Brien is being a very good husband and trying to help her feel like she has a place on Deep Space Nine. And I thought it was a really good scene, really good little bit of dialogue there.
Keiko and I are very similar. She is a very driven woman, so am I. And when she does not have something to do or to put her work into, she feels completely useless.
That's why she stabbed Ibudan to death.
That's right. She did it.
Now that would have made this episode good.
I think, and as Chris was saying, this shows that they have a good relationship. It's kind of cringy when they are in the promenade very loudly arguing with each other. That's frustrating to me. But they did that specifically so that it became an issue, right?
Well, they needed a way to show it, to connect it to the story.
But something that was completely glossed over was the monologue from Odo about compromising.
Oh, I didn't want to think about it. It's bad.
It's bad. He he's like, oh, you compromise. And it's meant to be funny, but it's
It
not
was,
to
it was
a
the
woman.
90s.
Yeah,
It was the 90s.
it's not funny to a woman.
It took me a minute to even remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, see? It
Because
just kind
it's
of,
so bad, it's not memorable, but...
well, and it's just like, yeah, you
little
want
comedy
to...
schlock.
Yeah, you want. I don't couple because I choose not to because there's too much
Women be
compromise. She
shopping.
wants to do this, and you want to do this, and so you end up doing what she wants. And here you were going to have a wonderful evening, and now you're stuck doing what she wants.
Opera, eating.
Because you compromise.
I'm angry.
Yeah, and it was.
Does Odo even really have gender? Like he's a puddle.
That's what I wrote. I was like,
he's a puddle.
I was like, does he even have any experience to talk to this?
Well, he said he never coupled. And
exactly. And he goes on this thing.
You've never coupled?
Quark is gross.
Yes, well, he's supposed to be.
He's supposed to be gross. But,
he's supposed to be gross.
And then, of course, Dax shows up and he's like, "Wah."
Rub my ears, Dax, rub my ears. Don't even think about it. That line, I'm thinking about it. I've met guys at work like that. I'm like, God, stop, please, dude.
Anyway, but that's when they notice Keiko and O'Brien. And when it is like, what on earth are they fighting about? All Quark says is, she doesn't like it here. And Odo says, who does?
Yeah.
So if Odo, who has been here this whole time and has been in charge basically of the law most of the time, he's been here.
So it's his fault.
If he doesn't
Odo
like
killed
it,
Edubon.
if he doesn't like it, then it makes perfect sense that Keiko, a woman with a child that she is trying to raise, wouldn't like it here either. And when she asks O'Brien, do you really want to raise your daughter here? O'Brien doesn't have an answer to that.
Because, obviously he'd rather be on the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't rather be on the Enterprise?
It was so weird to me that she was like, oh, this is a promotion. It doesn't feel like a promotion.
Okay, that's so funny to me because when we first see O'Brien, he's a lieutenant, and in this, he's a senior chief petty officer, he's not a promotion.
That's not a promotion.
Because the handling of O'Brien's rank is so weird. I think it's just been retconned that he was always a transporter chief. He was never actually an officer, is how the writers want you to think. But it's so funny when this is a promotion.
Is it? Yeah. But I do love that scene that it shows, and she very, very openly is like, it's not fair. He offers, this is how we'll fix it. I will just
I'll
go
make
back.
sure you go through that. Or,
no, even before that, I can request a transfer. We don't have to be here. And she says, that's not fair. That's not fair to you. I just wish I knew what was right. I wish I knew what to do. And I am feeling useless. They don't need a botanist here. I don't know what to do.
That's when he starts talking about growing flowers.
That's when he's like, think of how beautiful it would be if you did this, right? And then
he's not talking down to her, which is great.
No, he accepts, okay, she doesn't want me to give up what we have. That's not what she's asking. He accepts it and then takes it. And this is his yes and, right, in theater, where he goes, okay, now I will offer you suggested that you are feeling that you are useless. Here is a way to feel useful, and you would beautify this space. Will she take it? Will she yes and, right?
Yeah.
And she doesn't. I think that she's still feeling a little raw, but her response is because she sees the weirdness and the grossness going on, and her true feeling is, do we want to raise our child here? Do we want to raise our baby here? And as a mother of 4 children, that is a very real concern. That
wait, we have 4 kids? Is that I lost count?
We really do. But I think that thought is very valid. Of this area feels unsafe. I don't have anywhere to take her as a mother. And so as a mom, if I am not doing something pointed besides just child rearing, right? I have to be able to do something that I like to do. Not that I don't like child rearing, but I have to be me, not just mom. And so if I was in Keiko's position, I'd be feeling the same way. I have nowhere to go with my child. There's no structure. And so she is essentially locked in her room with her child all day, doing
on a
nothing.
tiny space station. Like
Yes.
the space station's big, but compared to a city, it's tiny.
The points you're saying, so this is my other kind of deep analysis point on this episode. Be curious what you think. So she's really not acting out of envy because he's an active member of society and she isn't. I don't think it's not just some envious thing. I think in this episode, she's a reflection of the difficulties of being a woman in a post-industrial society. So when you have an ancient agrarian society with large families, the amount of toiling, backbreaking work that has to be done by the entire family unit every day consumes your life.
Yeah.
So when industrialization comes, you have machines that absorb that work. And much of the Industrial Revolution's machines were marketed towards the kind of tasks that women would do in the family unit, which leaves you with less to do and leaves you with less of that feeling of accomplishment. And I think that is what Keiko's feeling, as you said, is a need to contribute to society. And so in the 19th century in America, I think the original the feminist movement we have today is different. The original 19th century feminist movement was more about dealing with this issue where you had women more and more liberated from the agrarian duties that they weren't having to do in society anymore, but they were still disempowered. You can't vote, you can't own property, and you can't defend yourself against your drunk husband. And a lot of the 19th century feminist movement was tied to the temperance movement. So temperance, for those that don't know, was the abolition of the sale of alcohol gotten rid of in the United States. So you had a lot of issue that hadn't existed a lot in European and American society, where you had a lot of alcohol-related violence. And the Industrial Revolution enhanced this violence. And you had women that did not have the rights to protect themselves. So a lot of, like, Susan B. Anthony started as a temperance activist. And because these women couldn't pass temperance laws, they had no power to do this. They couldn't, they had more time to take parts in other parts of society. They had lost kind of their role, the traditional role. So I think they created this movement to deal with what is going to be the role of women going in our society going into the future. And I think that is what Keiko's kind of dealing with this in this episode, is what is our location has changed. We're not on the Enterprise. My role that existed before no longer exists. And my life needs some kind of fulfillment. And I don't think she's just being a nagging Nelly. She's also correct that this is like a crazy environment to bring your children to. It's not just the wild frontier, it's not like a sparsely populated thing. It's like this busy trade location with tons and tons of dangerous people that aren't even allied with the Federation.
Somebody gets murdered on the station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
murder.
that sounds, having a murder in your city today is crazy, but like, can you imagine if there's just a murder on the Enterprise in the 24th century? It's like unheard of in these to have that level of violent crime. And so Keiko's like, now she's not talking about that in this scene because they find the body.
This is before that, yeah.
But it's a rough and tumble place.
My feeling is I don't think Keiko is frustrated in a way that like she wants what Miles has, like that.
No.
Like, and I think a lot of like, I don't know if this will get me in trouble. I think a lot of like modern feminism is like, we need to deconstruct the roles of men and women, right? I don't even know if it's feminism per se.
I think feminism has a big part to play in that as the roles, traditional roles have broken down. But I think it's society in general that is calling for a deconstruction of societal roles. It's not just women. It's anyone. So I don't know if it's necessarily feminism at this point that is arguing to break down roles.
I think in this is my view, that the modern isms that we have now are about deconstruction more than they are actually
construction.
Construction, yes. But when I'm talking about 19th century feminism, I think that's a different thing than the things that come out of post-war universities and whatnot.
Yes. They wanted rights. They
Yes.
wanted the ability to defend themselves, the ability to vote, to have a say in society. And that was what that was. Now that we have a lot of it, even though it's still very, there are lots of roadblocks still to a couple of these things where people are like, oh, there's this argument that I have seen. Oh, well, we gave you the right to vote. It's done. And it's like, but you didn't give it to us. We demanded it, that it was finally given. Like, you didn't, it's not a gift. We fought for this. We took it. Like, it's not that men were like, oh yeah, okay, we'll give you what you want, stupid woman. It was women going, we have needed this from the beginning, and we would like it now. We need it now, and we will not.
So demanding.
Yeah,
Why you gotta nag us
right?
all the time?
And that's the thing is, people, even you guys, talked about Keiko as annoying in the first couple of episodes because you remember her as being annoying. And I remember growing up hearing about Keiko and hearing my father and other people talk about her as
more
annoying.
annoying in TNG, actually, and then she is in this. I don't know. Jury's still out. But
there's an episode of TNG where they're supposed to get married where she is not written as likable, as sympathetic.
Yeah.
She's Bridezilla in that episode, is what she is.
So I would be interested to watch that one and have an opinion on that just outside
do
of
you
it.
want to watch an episode of Star Trek with me?
No, oh no, you poor man. You have to watch it.
Gentlemen, they do exist.
I think that their relationship and how Keiko is going about this is, as you said, she just needs to find her place. And this happens a lot. I've noticed in a world where divorce is rampant and it feels like women are leaving men faster than they ever did before.
Well, they're fed up.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to. It's, I'm done sacrificing myself for you. I need to be me. And I don't know who I am anymore because I am subverted in what you need.
See, the reason I let you take trips to New York City
is so
you don't get uppity and leave me.
Yeah, well, so that is, but that, they're like, oh, it came out of nowhere. No, it didn't. You just weren't listening. You just didn't know that your person isn't feeling like who they were anymore. You have gotten into this bizarre feeling of this is just status quo and status quo is fine. Everything's fine. We have this wonderful home and you take care of it so well and look at me praising you. And she's like, I would love to be me again. Do you remember when I would do these other things instead of just taking care of the house? So Keiko is not complaining about any of that. She's not saying anything like that. She's not nagging at all. And I hate the word nag. But she is simply stating her feelings. She doesn't even call them needs, right? I don't need this. This is how I'm feeling and I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. She is leaving it open to him as her husband. I am asking for your help, right? I don't know what to do. You're my best friend, essentially. That's what I would do for my best friend if I was like, I don't know what to do.
You definitely shouted at me in a bar.
I kind of do feel that it is a need, though. Like, we as humans have a need to contribute to the society we live in. And when we don't, a lot of people are depressed, I think, are because they're not feeling that need.
Sure, but that's my point, though, isn't that it isn't a need. It's more that she isn't framing it as, I need this from you.
Right, she's not demanding.
It wasn't, you fulfill this. Yeah. It was simply, this is how I'm feeling. I don't know what to do about it. So that was that was my point. And I think that coming back to how O'Brien deals with it, it's fantastic, right? He doesn't just tell her, well, that's not how it's going to be. Or even, well, I'll put you on that ship, right? I'll let you go out there. And that was her frustration is there. Look, he's saying, look at all of these people are going out and they're coming back and bringing back all of these things that you're interested in. And her thing was, I'm not on any of those.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'll get you on. And he's like, I don't want a favor.
Yeah, I don't need favors. I don't need you to fix it.
I want to be working. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need you to fix it. I don't need favors. I want to do something myself. I need to do it myself. And I love the way that they deal with that. And, I'm not going to jump ahead to the next Keiko scene, but it comes back the way that he helps her deal with her feeling of uselessness and listening to her. He doesn't shut her down. And then juxtaposing that with how Julian is treating Dax, right? Dax is openly telling him, we need to talk. And he goes, we'll do it in my way. We'll do it over dinner with the champagne. We'll do it how I want.
Let me get you drunk so I like what you say.
Also, and then she goes, Julian, right, trying to get him on track. I'm going to tell you something else. Nope. What are you doing? Right? Yeah. I'm not going to listen to what anything you have to say. And when I do hear what you say, I'm going to try and backtrack. I'm going to try and
watching somebody who's read or listened to one of those women game theory podcasts and think he's being clever and he's not.
You just want to throttle him. It's so annoying. So
he might like that.
But I love the juxtaposition there of those two relationships, if you can call what that is a relationship. But I love that there is a juxtaposition, the super unhealthy way to deal with a woman when she is talking to you and a super unhealthy way of how to deal with it.
Well, that's like kind of the most interesting stuff. Our interpretations are kind of more interesting than what's actually on the screen in a lot of this episode. But
yeah,
next we see Rom and Jake meet for the first time. They are going to have an ongoing friendship, and Rom becomes a more and more important character.
Nog and Jake meet. Rom.
I wrote Rom again. I messed that up I think in our first episode too. Yeah. Nog and Jake.
Nog.
Rom
My name is
the
Nog.
dad.
I love that he calls him a human. What do you want, human?
Human. Yeah. And they, let's see, was it?
So we get a scene. Odo says that the laws change depending on who is in political control, but, and I'm quoting here, justice is justice. Cisco cuts him off and says he'll replace Odo if he can't operate within the rules. The question to you guys, do you agree with Odo that an objective form of justice is more important than the written laws?
So this could be a whole podcast by itself. So I think that justice if we're talking objective justice, I would say that objective justice is more important than a written law. But
do you agree that there even is objective justice?
I think there is.
I agree.
I think there is a way to be just to everyone. The problem with objective justice is most of the people that end up feeling like they're on the short end don't think it's objective because they're reaping the consequences of their actions. Right. So I know that when I've had to face consequences for my actions, it didn't feel fair to me, but it was. But
I also think because nobody is perfect, it is impossible to have perfect justice. And that's where the breakdown happens.
Yes. So, and laws are notoriously imperfect. So while I agree with Odo that justice is justice, I disagree that he should act outside of the law, because if the laws are unjust, then what you need to do is change the laws. Because if you start disregarding some laws, who knows what other laws you start disregarding, and then you become a vigilante, and Batman is only cool in the comic books, man. If Batman were real, he'd be terrifying.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, no thanks.
Especially
I don't want that in my
Batman
life.
with a gun. But
I mean, he doesn't even need the gun. Have you seen what the batarangs are? They're friggin' throwing knives. He just magically doesn't stab anybody in the throat with them.
So I pretty much totally agree. I think the closest system we have to like an objective justice is this modern English common law system that we have in Western society. English common law is basically practiced across the globe at this point, with the idea that you're innocent until proven guilty and judged by your peers and whatnot.
Instagram doesn't operate like that, okay? you are guilty as soon as they think you're guilty, all right?
It's still...
But that's the mob, right? That's the mob mentality that shows up in this episode. Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
It's still, even with our English common law system that is supposed to get around that kind of mob mentality, kind of non-objective thinking, it's still almost impossible to escape. Whatever the feelings of your elites are at that specific time in history is going to dictate how your laws are practiced. It's just the reality of human beings.
Well, and then you introduce lawyers, right? People who have studied the laws as they are written, specifically to be able to, I mean, it starts with, I want to help you, right? That's, I think, in the end, that is what lawyering was supposed to be. I'm going to make sure that they don't mob mentality you, that you get the justice that is supposed to be served. But what it has come into be known as you know, a profession is this nasty, slimy, greasy thing where I know the law. Yeah, I know the law well enough that I can find the loopholes to win. It has become winning or losing rather than I am going to help make sure that you do not get punished worse than you are supposed to be punished under the law. And so, like I was very, very interested in becoming a criminal justice lawyer when I was in my early, well, I guess it was before I was even early 20s. I was taking classes at a community college.
Yeah, late teens for sure.
Yeah, I was very interested because justice has always been a huge thing for me. My parents called me Little Miss Justice when I was little.
Her dad warned me about this. I was like, say less, I'm already going to marry her.
But it was a problem for my dad, right? As a dad, having your little girl call you out when it's not just what you're doing, right? It doesn't feel nice. And I remember,
just look the other way when I take the candy out of the jar, okay? No. I know I told you no, but I want a piece of candy now, and I bought it. So.
Nobody likes their hypocrisy being called out. And it was little than that. You know, my dad's an awesome person. Sometimes it was little things like where he's playing with his children, right? We're playing daddy attack and he's on the floor playing with his many children. And one child has been pinned down being tickled just too long. And little Lela goes thump, 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 you know, like, you have to let this person go. They said no, you let him go. And
do not consent.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
It's been too long. It's not funny anymore. Let him go. Right. And so that's the justice person that is, I've always been Little Miss Justice. If it's not fair in my point of view, then it shouldn't be. And obviously my point of view is not objective. And so I've had to learn to temper it.
Speak for yourself. My point of view is objectively correct.
I've had to learn to temper it and try and see other people's points of view. And I would like to say I've done a pretty good job at being able to hear other people's points of view and argue for them, even if I don't necessarily agree with them. But I think that justice, while there is an objective justice, it is extremely dangerous to think that you have all objective knowledge of what justice is supposed to be.
Yeah, and that's the vigilantism that is.
And that's what Odo was. He was that vigilante. I think this is wrong and it needs to be done. And
it's what he wanted to be.
And that's what he wants. And Cisco is the one saying, you can't.
To be fair, I would have saved the Enterprise, so I can't.
But
can't be too hard on him.
I think that Odo has to learn in this episode because when the mob shows up, and again, jumping forward, when the mob shows up and says, this is the evidence, we think he is guilty because of the evidence. And they're not wrong. The evidence is and he knows it. He knew it from as soon as they got the evidence, which we haven't talked about yet.
We need to talk about it. We don't have a lot of time left.
Yeah, but so can we just can we just bring it in now instead of reading it as a thing?
Talk to the host. I'm not in charge.
I'm asking Matt.
You're looking at me, though.
Which part?
Just bringing in, instead of talking about it as the act in sequential order, just saying what the evidence is, right? That this murder happened, that there is no evidence of anybody else being in that room.
Right. So the main plot for the murder mystery is that this Ubadon character is someone that Odo knew before. He's a Bajoran. Odo knew him before the Bajorans were free, when Odo was already the constable of Deep Space Nine. And this guy was a foul character who nominally worked for the Resistance and basically was doing stuff for his own profit. And at some point, he cold-blooded murdered a Cardassian, and not a Cardassian that deserved it either. And because the New Bajoran government didn't care if people killed Cardassians back then, even if it was wrong, this guy was going free.
And it's important to note that Odo sent him to jail.
Yeah,
yes.
Odo's the one who put him in prison.
Yes, and so Ubadon is coming here, obviously, to get revenge. It's not a big secret, but Ubadon is getting massaged by a woman with funny hand makeup webbing,
holographic character.
It's a
holographic. I didn't even remember
It's a
that.
holographic character. Can I just mention also that it, as a person with a film background and a theater background, it is very clear to me that the director was like, we need to make the focus her weird webbed hands.
Yeah.
And
that was so weird.
And she is doing nothing for his muscles.
Yeah, she's just rubbing her hands on his back.
That poor actress too is like, these hands are going to fall off.
Yeah.
These prosthetics are going to fall off. And so that it was just the weirdest thing. Why do that?
She's giving him
she's like
ASMR
all the way
taps.
on the side and doing absolutely nothing for him.
And she like starts kissing his back. I'm like, this is just weird. Why are we here? Oh, he's getting stabbed. Okay.
So
all right. I'm
And
happy now.
The hologram goes, what?
We see a
Very, very like 1920s, I'm going to stab you really slowly shot.
With
too.
a black glove. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. By the way, wouldn't controlling a holodeck be like the perfect way to murder somebody? Like, what if the hand was a hologram itself? You know,
Right.
They didn't go into that,
And they don't talk about that, and that's one of the holes in the episode. Like,
See, I didn't even
what if he
realize that woman was a hologram till you just said
Yeah,
that.
she's well. There was nobody else in the room. Remember, that's the evidence. There's nobody else there.
This is what Quark's holosuites are used for. This was the beginning of one of those questionable programs that he likes to sell people.
So
I can't imagine what the cleanup's like.
Ibadon is murdered. There's no evidence of anybody else in the room except Bashir.
Except for the people who are there.
Right.
Except for the people who are in the room.
That's kind of the Bashir thing's Bashir notices something weird about the biology of the corpse. He puts... Well, I should back up. There's no one else in the room, so Odo...
the only person who could have gotten in there would have been Odo,
the door's
because
locked.
he can shapeshift.
Right. There's no evidence of the door being open, so Odo's the prime suspect, being a changeling who could have seeped his way into the room.
And left no dribbles.
Ibadon,
the sound of the Odo killing lots of dudes.
He has a perfect motive. He yelled at Ibadon in Quark's bar for everybody to see. It's clear that Ibadon set this up to make Odo the suspect. As part of kind of the murder, the TV show aspect of it, there's a character, another Bajoran, who is mad about it, who were clearly is meant to throw us off and make us think that he's
Mr. 1993.
Oh my gosh, he is the perfect 1990s actor.
Yeah. And he talks like this, like you've heard in every 90s ad.
He's right. How do you get a noose around the neck of a shapeshifter?
Ha 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 ha.
Then Bashir kind of notices that the biology of the cells is weird. He puts the cells in a test tube. The cells grow into a full-blown clone of Ibadan.
Okay, so he found those cells in
the trash can. On like the rim of the trash
can in the Bajoran ship that Ibadan came with.
He didn't. That wasn't in the room. He snuck onto the ship.
Okay.
And for
me,
no,
I don't think he snuck onto the ship. He
went to the ship.
Part of the investigation.
But for me, it was super weird because I was like, how does he even know? What is he doing? How does he even know where to collect things? What is he looking at in this stupid test tube?
He has because it's like a vacuum that's like sucking up stuff and he's like looking at it.
Like
that was the dumbest blocking I've ever seen. He's picking up cells and he's like looking at it like and see it. No,
like,
he'd be looking at a screen.
Him. It's like got him.
Like what he should have done was like, that's weird, and just taking it back. It was really strange the way they chose to show him. Look, I'm collecting evidence in this weird 24th century vacuum tube thing that he doesn't even close when he puts in his pocket, by the way. Because he just takes it off and puts it in his pocket.
And he mentions later, he's like, it was evident he was trying to throw it away. He was trying to get rid of this, and I was like, how do you even, why are you doing this by the garbage can in the first place? Like, cool,
well,
good for you.
If you're looking for genetic evidence and stuff like that, I mean, you would be scouring the whole area because it was weird that Ibadan had a double cabin on the ship. It was weird. And we find out because, these cells, he goes, okay. And this is the thing I wanted to talk about because it's like this is crazy and we don't see this in Star Trek a ton and they don't even touch on it. So they're like, we got to see what these things are. So that he puts it in like this magic bubble bath that makes it grow, right? We go all Fern Gully. He puts the bubble bath on to help it grow and it's just big clump of cells. And he finds like you were saying, he finds this weird genetic marker about what are they called? Something
I don't know.
I don't remember. Some kind of technical.
Later he says that the cells are deteriorating. Yeah, like it's deterioration of some kind.
Some weird degradation. The wording was weird too.
It was super weird.
The writers didn't know what they were doing.
It was very hard to swallow, which is one of the reasons this is not my favorite episode. It was very difficult to.
Well, let me get through the act real quick, and then we'll get to the little melted ice pick twist at the end. But so Act 2 is basically what we just said. They're the holosuite. They inspect the holosuite. Odo's clearly the prime suspect. Elsewhere, Keiko observes idle children on the promenade, and she decides to start a school.
Oh, they weren't idle. Just saying.
They were idle. They were
actively pranking people.
Magic itch bugs that make you change color. Which, by the way, they haul them away like it's some big crime. That was a super innocent prank. Like, that was an awesome prank, honestly. But you don't do it on random people. Like, you should do it on your friends.
You're still being naughty. You're naughty kids. You should be elsewhere.
Did you guys ever watch Murder, She Wrote?
I've seen a couple of episodes.
No. Oh, okay. The joke I always make about that is like Angela Lansbury, more like Angela of Death, because everywhere she goes, someone dies.
Yeah.
So Act 3, Odo searches Ibadan's quarters, discovers a log indicating Ibadan had scheduled a meeting with Odo right before the time of the murder. Jordan resident named Zyra, this is the guy that...
Mr. 90s.
Mr. 90s.
Yes. Begins stoking anti-shapeshifter prejudice on the promenade, acknowledging the conflict of interests on the mounting public pressure. Sisko temporarily relieves Odo of duty. Returning to his office, Odo finds it heavily vandalized by angry residents. Like I said, the Zyra character...
They wrote shapeshifter in English on the wall.
Yeah.
Bajorans wrote shapeshifter in English on the wall.
It's corny.
It's bad.
And like I said, the Zyra character is standard murder mystery, throw you off the track character.
And it was silly to me too because like he has his doors to his office are clear.
Yeah.
Anybody who went in there and caused as much destruction
People would have been like, what are you doing?
People would have seen it,
Yeah.
and there was so much destruction, it would have called attention. Anyway, that's
Yeah, things were like melted, like they're like somebody shot a phaser in there. It was weird.
Why does everyone so he looks at his logs. Why does everyone in Star Trek, no matter the species, no matter the government,
say exactly
keep
what they're going to do at the computer?
extremely copious logs of everything they do? Even
In
though his
English, no
log
less.
reads that he has tennis in the holodeck at 2, lunch at Quark's place, and backup computer files listed on it. I know there's people that are like real anal in real life, like schedule everything.
That's just
Everyone
one of
in
those
Star
people.
Trek, the logs in Star Trek will be like, at 2:03 I folded my shirt. At 2:04 I folded my socks. At 2:06 I looked out the window.
Well, do you know what it is? They have an AI agent watching them, and it just records it
Recording
for them.
everything they do.
It's interesting that Odo is a peace officer so obsessed with justice, because as we see in later seasons, they would absolutely be the most difficult creatures to trust.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was actually a note of mine. I was like, why? Who, if nobody else knows of any other shapeshifter, period, end of discussion, why on earth would you put him in charge of
Right.
justice? You wouldn't.
He
That would
would-
make no sense.
And they kind of get into this in later seasons, like they would bring on the highest amount of paranoia. It'd be like the movie The Thing, because
That movie doesn't exist in Star Trek. That's why they trust him.
yeah. Well, by the way, he could just be lying about his lack of abilities to copy humanoids.
Right.
He could
Yeah.
just be lying to everybody about that.
Well, the other thing is like Odo is a very young changeling too. Like we find that out later because they found him as a juvenile, and so he's learned how to be a person from people completely unlike him, which is why he's a good person, because regular changelings are terrible people.
And
But that's jumping ahead.
so they, with the nature of this being syndicated TV, there's no real build up for the friendship between Odo and Quark. They just kind of have to real hammer it down real fast that, hey, these guys are competitors, but deep down they respect each other, you know?
Well, I mean, they exposit a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
Quark like steps in to defend him.
Right. And he
You're his
says, I
biggest
can't
enemy."
believe
Well,
you're defending him. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's the closest thing he's got to a friend. It's like, okay,
There's
Quark. Like,
they hit it
I
with the
like
subtlety
the Quark. I like the Quark and Odo relationship in this show, but man, this is clumsily handled.
It's
Well,
early
and-
season, and we're hammering. This is the nature of this relationship.
the scene in his office
Yes, that's
is good.
I like the way they wrote that, where he comes in. I can find out who did this. I can do that for you.
I can do it.
And he's like, well, you don't have to because I'm not in charge of the investigation.
And he's like, oh, really?
yeah. And then it's like, they like hate each other, and in that moment they're like yelling at each other. I'll do what I want. I can do what I want.
Mhm.
Right. And then he just kind of goes, you don't need a shapeshifter on your crew, right? And Quark is, oh, you had me going. And Odo's like, I did, didn't I? And you can tell that Odo's actually trying to figure out what it is
Yeah.
that he needs to do now. He's lost his purpose
Yep.
now. And so another person losing purpose, what do I do now? I guess I'll turn to the life of crime that I've been fighting this entire time. But that Quark doesn't believe him, right? Quark is just like, nope. And he laughs it off too, in that sense of Odo being like, yeah, I did. I got you going, didn't I? And you're not certain, except for that Odo pauses, kind of chuckles, and then like grabs something back from Quark.
That's mine. Give me
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And then as Quark is leaving, he throws him a line, even after they've just fought, right?
Yeah.
And that it's very clear that he doesn't need to,
Yeah.
that Quark is still aware enough of there's no way that this guy is a killer. I
Yeah.
know that there's no way. And he has a sense of justice, even being a criminal.
Well, I mean, the Frankie sense of justice is very strong. It's just bought and paid for.
So Odo in that scene, he asks Quark if he has room, because at this point Odo's like, I'm done here. There's no way these people will ever trust me again, even if I get out of this and don't go to prison. But Odo asks Quark if he has room in his organization for a shapeshifter, and Quark's mind kind of starts turning, thinking of all the scams he can pull. and eventually says, you almost had me. And Odo plays it off. Do you think Odo was being serious in that
think
moment?
He was being serious.
Yeah.
I think he
serious.
was.
I think he was thinking, I'm done for. If they pin this on me, I'm done for. So I need somewhere to go.
And a way
They
to
can't catch me. I'm a shapeshifter.
Yeah, that's the thing is, if they're going to accuse me of using my abilities this way, that's kind of like
I'll show them what it looks like.
It's kind of like the argument that they make in Zootopia of I'm a fox and they treated me this way, and so I bought into it. You know, it's like, well, if they're going to treat me this way anyway, then I might as well just do it. And I feel like that's what Odo is trying to come to grips with. He's being thought to be the killer, even though he has shown no reason to kill. You know, everybody is defending him who actually knows him.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know what else he's going to do. What else is he going to use his power for? He can use his power either for evil or for good. And if they're going to think it's evil, even if he's doing good, then might as well use it for evil. That's a purpose he can use for it.
Mm.
So there is unless you had something else to add, Chris.
No.
Okay. Well, there is a quick scene where I don't have this in my notes here, but I know Keiko goes and talks to Cisco, and Cisco's like, "Oh, you want a school? Let's do it. I'll give you everything you need."
I love that scene.
Okay, but I don't.
I love that scene. Other than the fact that she's not a teacher, right?
That is what gets me. Like what is not mentioned is that it's his son. Benjamin's son and Nog are the children, the idle children that the AI told you about. It's his son and this other boy who are pulling pranks and getting into trouble. And he, as the person in charge, is like, that's not good. You, my son, cannot give me a bad rap. You need to be doing something different. And so when this woman comes and says, we need a school, I've never been a teacher before, but I've thought about being a teacher. And Cisco's like, great, what do you need? And it's because it's his boy that's in trouble. I feel like if any other situation had happened, that insane proposal, right? I've never been a teacher, but give me all of the kids on the station so that I can just teach. And Cisco even says, I can't make anybody do this. And these are all different cultures. They are all under different laws. I cannot, there's no actual structure other than what this person who is not a teacher wants to teach.
We are basically out of time.
Yeah. I knew that this would go long.
I can't believe we've been talking for an hour and a half and we're not even through Act 4.
I knew it would.
You guys need to stop?
We have to stop because we have to go and do, we're cooking dinner over my parents. I thought an hour.
What are you doing? Recent events have compelled me to study how humans perceive the passage of time. For example, I've often heard people comment that time seems to pass more slowly in one instance or more quickly in another. In reality, the actual passage of time remains fixed.
So we had to take a little break, and you got a little weird edit here. That's because we took a break for a day. Coming back to finish this the next day.
It's my fault. I scheduled it for not enough time for Lela and I. It's blame me, blame Chris.
No worries.
What I usually do.
I think we pretty much finished the third act. So in the fourth act, the crowd gets real crazy. Mob mentality takes over. They gather around Odo's office, demanding vigilante justice. Cisco, Kira, and O'Brien arrive with phasers drawn to break up the mob and protect Odo. At the same time, Keiko officially opens her school. Jake Cisco and Nog join the school. And then in the infirmary, Dr. Bashir analyzes medical equipment found on Ibadan's ship and discovers a rapidly growing biological sample, which is a minor way to put it. This thing is like a disgusting tub of goo growing in a
It reminds me of the prop
bowl.
that It reminds me of the prop they use for the Dax symbiote, actually. I'm reasonably sure they may have used some of the same mold and just kind of put more of it on there because it looks very much
I do
like
I do have to
symbiote.
say that those props for the different stages of that growth are definitely one of the reasons why the budget was so ridiculous for this episode.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And all the Odo shapeshifting. There's a fair amount of shapeshifting in this episode.
The
if I remember correctly.
scene where the mob is outside is so corny to me.
Yeah.
With the
Yes.
shapeshifter freak. And they just saying that over and over.
Well, they're like chanting shapeshifter. I'm like, what? There's cheering squad? Why?
Yeah. You're right. At this point, that it's not like a derogatory thing at this point in the show, and they don't call him changeling. Is changeling like season 2 or?
I think changelings is what the founders call themselves, and so when Odo learns that he's a founder, spoiler, then he starts calling himself a changeling, and other people start calling him changelings.
All right. Because
Can I just say that when Kira is talking to him about, hey, this looks like you might be, all the evidence is pointing to you, but it's obviously not you. And he goes, to be truthful, I was in a pail in my office.
Yeah.
And the first time I watched it, I legitimately had no idea that he meant a bucket. I thought he meant PALE, like I was in a pail. I wasn't feeling very good. I wasn't like,
No, he's in a bucket.
I
yeah.
think that
And
they show the
I had
bucket, right?
not in this episode.
Because that's definitely the first mention of it, and you definitely see the bucket throughout the show. Because I can vividly imagine that bucket in my head. It's like
What's wild is in this episode, he doesn't have quarters. He just turns into goo in his office, in his place of business. For anyone to, there's Odo. Yeah, don't worry about him. He's just bubbling.
The very easy bully move is to just take the bucket. they
that happens.
Oh, okay. Well, because
in the show.
they totally destroy his office, but I guess the bucket stays in the corner.
Or you can just taking a bucket isn't a big deal because you can just replicate another one.
Sure.
It's Star Trek, right?
That's true.
I did want to touch on something. I don't think we talked about it yesterday, but there's this one scene that I enjoyed. But before this, right as Odo's being removed from duty, and he's not happy about it, and Sisko's like, for the record, I don't think that you're the one who did this. And Odo's like, well, how can you possibly know that? You don't know me. And goes through like, you obviously should be removing me from duty. So I guess I'm just going to go. And it struck me, they did a good job of showing that Odo is an honorable guy. They exposited it earlier in the episode, but this, I was like, hey, yeah, there we go. He understands, and he doesn't push back against it. He just accepts it and goes, yeah, okay, yeah.
See, I took a different take. I felt like it was pushback. I actually used the word pushback in my notes. It seemed a little bit out of character to me, actually, because he sounds angry. He sounds upset about it.
Well, he is angry. He's angry that he's being taken off the case. His whole thing is justice, and now he can't pursue justice.
See, and that's what I'm saying, though, is that I think he thinks, like, he accepts it. He doesn't push back in the sense that he doesn't say, well, you can't do this to me. But there is...
He's angry about it.
Yeah, he's angry. Like, how could you...
I'll just scratch out my note here. I'm wrong.
That's not what we said.
Chris is wrong.
Remember how art is subjective.
On here. Yeah. Yeah, but apparently I'm subjectively wrong.
Well, he thinks Sisko is wrong. He's not in agreement.
I feel like he thinks the decision is incorrect because he knows he is...
Well, see,
he knows he's
makes
innocent.
The episode worse to me, though. Because it makes Odo kind of stupid, because any law enforcement individual who's like, I'm the prime suspect, clearly I can't work on this case.
Well, but that, I think, is what drives home the moral issue for me, because he has this clear view of, this is what justice is, I know what it is, and I should be the one to carry it out, where Sisko has to step in and say, no, you can't do it, because that's going to be, that's... Dax said it to Kira when Kira was like, he's not the killer, right? And she's like, it's very clear conflict of interest.
Yeah.
But Odo with his no, I didn't do it, and I'm justice here. When he is taken off the case, I think feels angry about that step, because even though he's not going to argue with Sisko because he already got shot down once, I think that he is lashing out at Sisko when Sisko says, I don't think you did it. And he's just like, well, how could you say that? You're taking me off the case, essentially, is what I got out of that.
I don't know. That feels like he's throwing a fit. Maybe I'm just thinking
he is. I think he is throwing a bit of a fit. And then at the end of the episode, he realizes, because the mob that comes to his door has all of this evidence, wants to put forth justice the way he is used to doing it.
They don't have evidence.
But they do.
They have circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence is evidence.
No, but not it. You cannot you cannot convict someone based solely on circumstantial evidence.
But that is the point. That is what I think the point of the episode is that Odo has to learn that, because he would carry out justice however he saw fit. And now that these people outside are trying to exact justice the way that they think they need to, it helps him realize, I have to change how I look at this as well, because I feel like if he had had as much evidence as they did pointing to somebody, he would have made a knee-jerk decision, because he is justice on the station, or has been.
I agree, and I will say I do think it is in character for him, because as my memory, I mean, it's been a decade since I've seen this show, is that Odo is an angry person by default, and he has issues.
He's irascible.
He has issues with bureaucracy, and it makes sense in this context of this episode, because he has served as the constable or the sheriff of this station under previous the Cardassians. And he did have he did have free, from the context of this episode, he did have free reign back then.
He could just eject people from the station, and so probably without a spacesuit or a spaceship.
Yeah.
And now there's
Can we talk about how Odo was probably a terrifying person under Cardassian rule, and probably just straight up killed people? Because can we just talk about that?
Sure, but his whole thing against this other guy is that he just straight up killed people.
Yeah, but when Odo does it, it's justice.
See, and that's when Odo does it, it's justice, because he knows all, right? And that's again why I think he learns in this episode. It's not hit us over the head with it, but I think he learns.
I mean, theoretically, if a human being could be like an all-knowing robot, then it would be good if a police officer could be. It would be beneficial if the police officer was judge, jury, and executioner, because you're reducing the amount of steps in justice.
I feel like if the people
humans
involved
are not perfect objective beings, so you need bureaucracy to enact justice more proficiently.
Yeah.
And
and that's why lawyers are necessary as much as much as they can get really scummy, because they need to be there, especially if the jury is of your peers. Because people see circumstantial evidence and go, oh, yep, mob, right? So without the lawyers there to dig into the arguments and the evidence as it is presented, then the jury would be a mob. You have to have those different individuals weeded, or their opinions weeded out through all those different arguments.
Well, a lot of people get mad at bureaucracy because it slows things down. Well, the slowing things down is a feature of bureaucracy. Because imagine if lawmakers had if there was no methods that they had to follow to pass laws, and they could just bang laws out one after the other.
Oh, imagine
the government would be a mess, because the whims of society would push these laws in and out.
My laws are the greatest laws. Yeah. I write them all the time. I don't use an auto pen.
So you need bureaucracy is a necessary evil. I'll just put it that way.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There was also another thing that didn't get touched on at all, and that was the conversation that Bashir has with Cisco in at lunch.
Yes.
I did not catch that joke until like the third time I was watching this episode where Cisco asks Dax if she wants to go to lunch, and Bashir is turned around, and Dax is like,
sure.
I have that written. I have that written down.
I did not
Dax
catch that
declined
joke till the
lunch
third time.
because Julian was going.
Yeah.
He's like, sure, and she looks at him and goes, no thanks. But yeah, the conversation between Cisco and Julian is really good because one of the things that you really start to see Cisco struggling with the fact that Jadzia isn't Curzon. Jadzia remembers Curzon, but isn't Curzon, and that's hard for Cisco. And he's starting to swallow it there, and Julian is not sensitive to Cisco's plight. He's like, so you don't want to sleep with Jadzia? Okay. Can I?
I guess I'm not a threat. And that harkens back to a different scene where he essentially just accosts Dax.
Oh, yeah.
Like he comes out of a doorway and, so I guess I know who the competition is. And she's like, oh my gosh.
And he's like, we'll discuss it over champagne on ice. And she's like, shut up, go away.
Yeah. Well, and the really nasty, it's stalkerish the way that he's dealing with her. And the way when she says, you know, sometimes the hosts are, you know, feeling these certain things, but it's childish. These feelings are childish to a Trill.
But you have them and you try to resist them.
So you're saying there's a chance.
That means that I should be the temptation for you.
This is the temptation, and I am
Frankly,
the temptation.
That sounds familiar.
So anyway, it was that scene. As soon as he comes in and starts speaking, I actually literally put my hands in a wringing his neck motion and shook him I was so upset. And again, when he's gone, she just shakes her head and smiles. And I have done that before.
Sorry.
It's not you, but that ridiculous, there's nothing I can do. I guess I'll laugh because otherwise I will break down and cry. I can't do anything about it. She full on called him childish and his obsession with sexual advances childish.
I think Julian needs to go to the holosuite.
And get some webbed fingers all up in his business.
He needs to get his he needs to get something out of his system there.
Anyway, sorry, it hadn't been talked about, and to me, if I am the guest as a woman, I needed to mention it. It just
wait, you're a woman?
Absurd. I thought I was. I guess maybe that's subjective.
No, you are. No, I think I remember. You are.
Okay, good.
The other thing. Sorry, go ahead. The other thing, because they talk about lunch like after they've talked about what the clone is, right? I think
kind of. They mention that there is degradation in the cells.
Yeah,
and then they go to lunch, but the evidence of no, this is what this is.
Oh, they don't.
After.
He doesn't know what it is yet. Okay.
Yeah, that doesn't happen until after the mob. The
Yes,
mob
so
shows
the
up
mob-
and he's like, "We have new evidence."
So the mob is about to break into the... Oh, go ahead, Chris. You had another point?
No, go ahead. No, set the scene, because this is about this next part.
So the mob's about to break into the office, and perfect television timing. Bashir shows up, says, we basically solved it. And he determines that the biological sample, the big tub of goo, is growing into a clone of Ebadon. And the mystery is solved for us, the audience. And we figure out that he created a clone of himself to murder himself to frame Odo. Odo tracks down the real Ebadon, hiding elsewhere on the station, and arrests him. And
he's actually on the ship again.
Yeah, I think he's back on his ship.
And Odo's cleared of all the charges, reinstated as security chief. And though the lack of apologies from the mob leaves him reflecting in his inherent isolation.
And then the clone apparently wakes up and is now a
Goes
member
about
of
his life. Yeah.
Cons-
So
Yeah.
I want to talk about this. They straight up make a person, and this cloning technology makes an adult male Bajoran in like 2 days.
You don't think they aborted it?
No, it says
there's a line that
in
says
Sisko's journal afterward.
Ibadan's clone woke up and began its new life as a Bajoran citizen, or something like that.
Oh my goodness!
It says that. It's just straight up. So not only is it an adult person, but apparently someone who can function. Whoa.
Yeah.
with all the memories
that technology
of Ibadan,
is
right?
bonkers.
Right. And if killing your own clone is still murder, does allowing a clone to come to pass still count as birth? So, like, why is it just
Julian's
kind of like...
a mom.
Julian's a mom.
The Ibadan that he speaks to at the beginning of the episode, and when
That's
he
the real
confronts
Ibadan.
him in Quark's bar, is that the clone or is that the original Ibadan?
That's
I
the
think that
real
has
one.
to be the real one. But I don't know, because if...
So does the
if
clone
this-
have Ibadan's memories? Is
Yeah,
my second
'cause if
question.
this
It's
clone
not,
wakes
it's
up-
not explained. It's
Right.
very
It isn't.
poorly done.
It
This
is... I couldn't believe it, because isn't there a TNG episode where a clone is a thing and they are
Cloning's
like...
bad. Yeah, cloning's
Yeah.
banned in the Federation.
And that they get really upset about it, and they're like, no, you can't do this.
Because it's genetic modification, which has been banned in the Federation because of Khan.
Mhm.
So yeah, so that happens. There was a scene. So when Odo confronts real Idaban, who is dressed up as like a Bajoran cleric,
Right.
and I think it actually may even, I can't tell if it almost looks like it's a different actor.
I think it is.
I think it's a different
Well, it
actor.
definitely is, because the big
And
one of the scenes in this show that is like, to me, so
when they pull the
80s
mask
They ripped
off
his
of it,
face
yes,
off.
the Scooby-Doo mask pull. That's definitely two different actors.
and they do it, and I'm just like, well,
Well, and
What?
the
Because
mask,
it's
the mask,
real
the prosthetic
corny.
mask is definitely hidden so that you can't tell that it's like they stuck the white hair on the chin and then
Yeah.
just be like, okay, make sure that it's not, the camera doesn't actually catch that.
yeah, and honestly, I respect the attempt, and it probably looked a lot better on tiny TVs in 480p. Probably looked a lot better in 480p, but in the HD upscale, I'm like, that's a plastic mask that he's just holding in his hand, and there's a jump cut where he's pulling it off,
Yeah.
and you can see it, and it's like, wait.
Honestly,
Idaban's head is bigger than the other guy's head.
it's Ibudan. So I feel
Ibudan,
like
Iduban, whatever.
I feel like
Sounds like-
also
Sounds like noodles. Sounds like a Japanese dish.
the way that Odo, the actor, actually handled that is pretty impressive. Because I
it's
don't
the
know
editing that's kind of fails.
I don't know
there.
if you guys have ever handled a floppy mask, like
Oh, I'm
like
glad
a
you
full
finished
face
that.
mask, but it's ridiculous to try and get that to do what you want when it's not actually on a person's face. And so the
I think he
effect
actually
he
had
made.
something like halfway up his face for the
Kind
cut,
of,
and they pulled
yes.
it off of him. Yeah,
but I remember him coming up over the chin, like he does pull it up over his chin.
I don't think the mask was on his chin, but he had it in his hand.
Yeah, and
like,
it's really impressive, honestly. That's impressive acting.
It would have looked really good on stage, I will say.
Probably, yeah.
Not so much in this particular instance, but yeah.
Did you guys have
So-
any other specific scenes you wanted to talk about?
I think that we didn't mention the fact that Keiko opens up the school, and O'Brien brings their daughter
Mhm.
and is congratulatory and gives her a gift, right? I replicated it on the way over, and it's
gifts,
in the box.
physical
Gifts
gifts
have
totally
no
matter in
meaning.
society.
Well, yeah, but it's a school bell, right?
Yeah.
And he is showing her that he is proud of her. I want to see you on the promenade tomorrow, ringing your school bell.
yeah.
And it just drives home that he is proud of her. He is showing her. that he
O'Brien's
is
a
proud
good
of her.
husband.
Yeah, he's a great husband. And I think it's really important, again, to have that juxtaposition to Dax and Bashir.
Yeah. This is what a healthy
I don't know why
relationship looks like.
when you said he's a good husband, that scene in TNG immediately popped into my head when Keiko turns into a child and she's like holding his arm while they're sitting down, and O'Brien is like so utterly uncomfortable.
Wouldn't you be? Like, I can't imagine if Leela magically got turned into like 10-year-old her. And she's like,
first of all, I look like our daughter.
No, I'm sorry. You can't touch me until you get older.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But I am older.
No, it doesn't. Nope, I can't do it. Please.
And that's good. You're a good man.
You look like our daughter. Please stop.
Yeah.
Well, if there's no other specific, you know what? I want to make a point. I don't know if you guys feel this way. It's like the beginning of the episodes, at least in these last 2 episodes. The pilot, I don't feel this way, but these last 2 episodes, it's like the setup. There's a lot of interest there. And then once you get into the 3rd act on, it's like, all right, let's just wrap this episode up. Like,
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
a lot less interesting.
Yeah.
There was one part. So in the mob scene, they all show up and then they pass out phasers. Phasers are magical stun weapons.
Oh, I have that as a note.
Just put them all to sleep.
Well, it's the perfect opportunity for the wide beam, which we almost never see in Star Trek, where it just shoots out.
The best
like
one we
90
see
degrees.
is actually in Voyager, when Tuvok stuns like everybody on the bridge, or Tuvok live. I can't remember what happens, but he like sets it to wide beam and puts everybody on the bridge to sleep. No ill effects.
It's so weird because I remember Cisco, like in the first episode, he's like, I will not have phasers on my promenade. Isn't that Cisco? That says
that
or
was
that
Odo. And
okay.
it's people coming in. So it's like,
okay.
So the police or Starfleet can carry weapons, and they're not carrying weapons. Odo sent someone for phasers. Right. So they're not normally just carrying weapons.
I also want to know where the phaser went. He shoots it upward into the deck. And everybody's like suddenly really
stun,
quiet.
And we've seen before that phasers on stun have a negligible impact on solid material.
Okay.
It's like a gentle tase that puts you to sleep.
There's
clearly some discomfort.
There's a lot of have to turn your brain off when it comes to weapons in Star Trek. You just have to.
Like, what is a phaser? Sometimes it's a laser, sometimes it's a phased nadion beam, and sometimes it's if you shoot them on stun in the head really close range on the Enterprise A, it kills them. Okay. So if I just stun somebody over and over, I can kill them? All right.
Man, the Eddie Izzard clip about the different settings.
Set the phasers. I left the gas on. That's a great sketch. That's a great sketch.
Oh, they set the phasers to limp. Oh.
All right. Well, I think we talked out all the scenes in this episode that probably didn't deserve as much time as we've talked about it.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
Well, the topics we discussed were kind of more interesting than probably this episode.
The episode was, yeah.
Chris and I were talking the other day about one, I think it's supposed to be a funny throwaway thing, where when at lunch, he's reminiscing about his time with the other Dax, whatever his name is, and he's just like, there were these twin sisters, Mischief, right? Yeah. And I was like, that's the last thing that you need to tell Bashir right now. And also,
my thing is, so Cisco, his mentor was Curzon, and Cisco was in Starfleet, right? While Curzon was Cisco's mentor,
presumably, I guess.
I'm pretty sure that's how the timeline goes. Didn't he meet his wife like just after he was done with the academy?
I don't know, dude. Don't ask
So
questions.
he was two-timing his wife. Curzon was helping him two-time on his wife.
But we don't know because we are not sure of the timeline.
I believe that because he's responsible for the destruction of the Enterprise D. And he's just fundamentally a flawed
He's just
character.
a bad person. Yeah.
He is a bad person. He's a bad. No, I've said he wasn't a bad person. I've said I gotta let go of this grudge, but the Enterprise D doesn't want me to let go of the grudge.
Well, but if you are correct about that timeline and the writers didn't think of it, then that's one thing. If they did think about it, then yes, he's a bad man. He was two-timing the wife.
I think they didn't think about it.
Yes, they wouldn't, because that has absolutely no idea.
In canon, he cheated on on Jake's mom
with freaking twin sisters. Why is it always they're twin sisters?
I don't know what the obsession with twins is. Like, it's like, oh yeah, wait, so you want to make sisters have an encounter with you and each? No. Out.
So my mother is a twin, and
oh boy, here we go.
And my father dated both of them.
Really? That's
yes. Wild. It wasn't like going steady with both of them, but he went on dates with each of them.
Her dad was something else. He was a ladies' man back in the day.
Yeah, but oh my gosh. So
we should let him listen to this episode.
Legitimately, he prayed to God to surround him with beautiful women who loved him, and then he got blessed with 7 daughters.
Proof that the divine has a sense of humor.
Yeah.
That and the platypus.
Anyway, I just think I thought, sorry, that's my phone.
Oh, it was not Matt this time.
So the last time we were recording, I had turned it off, and then I forgot because I had to run in here. But let me turn that off, and I will start again.
No, it's not my sin.
Anyway, I just thought it was pretty funny that they pulled out the freaking twin sister crap again, and I was like, just why? Why is it always sexual favors?
So
it was the 90s, okay.
So
boys were boys in the 90s.
Yeah. So in this Paint by Numbers Murder, She Wrote episode, was there a singular ethical dilemma that defined the episode? This is one of the questions we ask at the end of every episode. Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, it was what is justice, basically? Is justice versus allowing unilateral justice versus allowing the system to work, right? You know, which is better versus which feels good is kind of what I got from it. Also, don't be a creep, Julian. But the main ethical dilemma was centered around justice and almost vigilantism. It was almost like, I feel like they could have made it about vigilantism, but it just didn't quite get there because they were too busy growing a snot clone in a vat.
You feel the same way, Lela, about the...
Yeah, and I've mentioned it throughout our discussion. I think that justice and how it is properly doled out, who gets to decide punishment and when, and even a little bit further than that, when does evidence become the truth? When is it accepted as conclusive? Because there was a lot of evidence to point to a shapeshifter.
Circumstantial, which doesn't hold up in space court. Okay,
all right, but nevertheless,
except
right?
Other than in Measure of the Man, because I think everything in Measure of a Man is circumstantial evidence.
but it boils down to that for me, and it also, I mean, even if you have the bureaucratic slow look at all the different evidence, not just circumstantial, whatever. When does evidence become truth is still a talking point, I think, because you still have people that are convicted wrongly. Mm-hmm. So when is justice justice? When is this actually what is accepted as truth? Because it may not be truth even then, after taking it slow and looking through it all.
So for me, this was a tough one. This is usually really easy for me. I can just kind of see right to where kind of the writers are trying to get with it. I think the theme of this episode is supposed to be about isolation, but there's almost no focus on it, really. I mean, Odo is alienated from people. It's not a focus of the episode, although at all. I mean, that's the title of the episode. I guess Keiko is supposed to partially, she's not really isolated. I don't think her issue is isolation.
The only person who's really isolated in the episode is Odo.
Well, even then, he's not really isolated. He has friends. Like Kira is in his corner. So is Dax.
But he was isolated in his office for a solid 3 minutes.
He was in a pail. Okay.
Before Quark came in, he was a man alone.
The theme's supposed to be he's different than everybody else. He's the shapeshifter, and they're picking on him. They think he is guilty because he is a shapeshifter. That's supposed to be the theme. The way it's written is just, it doesn't harp on that point. It's not a focus. I agree. I mean, that's what I wrote here is you kind of say it's about justice and do the ends justify the means when seeking justice, but I didn't think this episode had a real strong ethical dilemma. To me, it was more of a piece to just kind of show that Odo's a tough, gruff cop. I don't know if you can tell, I wasn't a big fan of this episode.
No, it's not very good.
If you had to delete one scene in this, and I might delete a few scenes in this episode, but if you could only delete one, which one would you guys delete? You want to go first, Lela?
Sure. Basically any scene in the medical bay. It was mostly to show lumps of flesh growing. And you can do that by just saying, hey, it's getting like show a picture. I don't know.
Testicular tumor is what it looked like the whole time.
Anyway, it just that anything in the medical bay, except for Dax
on screen.
Except for Dax being like, "Oh no, Julian said he's going, so I'm gonna bow out." Thanks.
That was pretty great. Yeah.
For me, it's the scene, the mob in front of Odo's office just felt like bad TV to me, and I'm like, Star Trek is above. Like TNG would not have had a scene this bad.
Sub Rosa would like to talk to you.
Yeah. Well,
one of my notes was, this is a very ruly mob by all counts.
It's a very ruly mob. Yes, it's not an unruly mob at all. And Cisco tells them to go to their rooms, and they're like, okay, sorry, Dad.
We're a civilized mob in the future, in the 24th century, okay?
It's just like the shot of him walking down the promenade with all of these people behind him, and he's like looking like he's fearing for his life. I was like, if they wanted to take you, they would have like jumped you already.
What are they going to do to him?
I know. He's a
shapeshifter. Turn into a puddle.
Well, and he said, how do you get a noose around him?
How do you get a
shapeshifter?
Yeah. The people laugh at that. I'm like, why is that a joke? Like, why are you guys laughing?
That's a real dilemma.
They should be like, how do we?
Yeah, everyone laughs. I'm like, what is the comedy
vaporize? How do you hurt a shapeshifter?
Well, I think what's funny is that they're counting on Odo's justice, and his sense of justice and good behavior to just sit in a cell. Oh no. Yeah,
I mean, they can lock him up. He's just going to turn into goo and leave.
The same way he got into the murder room. It's no longer a holodeck. It's a murder room.
Yeah, and we learn in this episode the holodecks are not vacuum sealed because if Odo can get through, air can get in and out. So clearly, if you lose pressure in the holodeck, you're done. You're dead.
That's a fantastic note.
I mean, they're really down in the center of the core of the station there, but whatever.
Anyway.
What scene did you pick, Chris?
The scene where Julian attacks Dax in the hallway. I watched the episode 3 times, and after the first time I watched it, I skipped that scene both times where he's like, hey, let's talk about it. I was like, I can't, it's so cringy. I can't watch it. It hurts so bad. I agree about the mob scene, but there's something about 90s guy that I can't look away when he's on the screen.
Just this beautiful man.
Just I'm 1994. How are you doing today? It's just amazing to find somebody who epitomizes a whole decade with just the way his face looks and his hair.
It is crazy. He looks like a leading man. I don't know who he is, but when I saw him, I was like, why is he not? Is he not a leading person? Like he looks like a 90s
he's not a leading
man.
guy because did you hear his actual acting?
Yeah.
He wasn't. So honestly, I didn't think he was that bad. I felt like the way that he portrayed that character was supposed to be tight to the chest.
Mm-hmm.
And because he had intonation, he was just very clearly full
a lot
of
his
himself.
lines are all kind of flat, and I don't know. It might be another thing where he was a stage actor doing film for the first or second time, kind of thing.
I don't even think that. I feel because most of his reactions were actually very tight, and in if you can, most theater actors for the first time in film have big movements, and
I was talking more about the line delivery and the diction and how he was
I suppose.
He kind of
speaking his
reminds me of a
words.
poor man's Ray Wise. I don't think you guys have watched Twin Peaks, but he's the
I
dad on
tried
Twin
to
Peaks.
watch Twin Peaks, and I got bored.
Yeah, Twin Peaks is you're either gonna love it or you're not. It's
Yeah.
one of those kind of things.
I got like
Especially
3 or
the
4
third
episodes
season,
in,
which gets
and I'm
real
like,
out there.
I'm just like, man, I know I'm supposed to be invested in this, but I'm totally not. Oh, hey, look, Star Trek's on. You want to? I think we were still living together, you and I, Matt, when I tried to watch Twin Peaks, and then I ended up being like, hey, let's watch Babylon 5.
So what was your favorite scene? I'll start with this one. I'm curious if we'll all have the same one or not, but I put the scene in Odo's office where Quark offers to Odo what information he has on Ibadan. That's makes 2 episodes in a row where the best scene is in Odo's office. We'll see if that stays as a pattern. So Odo asks, I think we talked about this, Odo asks if he has room in his organization for a shapeshifter. And this is what I mean. I wish this episode leaned more into, I feel like Odo really had feelings of like, if these people don't want me to establish justice, then screw them. I'm just going to go and join Quarks. I'm just going to be a criminal. Like, if they don't want to be saved, screw them.
Mm-hmm.
And the episode, I don't know, it doesn't get that deep. But Lela, what was your favorite?
That is one of the scenes. What I said is where any interpersonal relationships are written and shown in audience trusting ways. So that one is one of them. Odo in his office with Quark. The other one is actually a scene that we did not talk about. Not really, is where Keiko and O'Brien are eating dinner. And it's a very short scene, but the way that they trust the audience with the information that is given, and I liked it a lot. Where O'Brien is listening to her, she is talking about how she saw the kids, being ridiculous and pranking people on, and didn't have anything to do, and there's no structure. This is why they're acting out, and what this place needs is a school. And it cuts to O'Brien, and he just kind of gets this look of, oh, well, that's a purpose, it sounds like. Like that's all I have to do is just suggest that she try to make the school that needs to, and then she'll have the purpose that she's looking for. But it doesn't say that, it's just the look, and then it cuts away. And so anytime there is a place where they trust their audience, I appreciate it very much. And the interpersonal moments there, and because we've already talked about how Quark and Odo, like, they kind of like get at each other's throats, but then Quark is still throwing him a bone at the end.
And Armin Shimmerman in every episode so far has also been a strong actor. He's just not featured that much, but he does sell his scenes that he's in.
So Chris, we know your favorite was the bugs turning the people blue and yellow.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, mine is very different from both of yours, and I think it's because I was a little bit of a film nut for a while. It's the first scene after the credits in the bar. So we start upstairs with Cisco and Dax, and then the camera moves downstairs, and we see Quark and Odo, and then it goes up again out to Keiko and O'Brien. And there's a couple cuts, but there's a lot of really cool camera movements that show you the size and the scale of the set, and the way the camera moves really conveys how conversations and social interactions drift in a place like a bar like that.
Mm-hmm.
It really kind of sold that to me. I was like, wow, that was awesome. I said the cinematography in the second scene is well done, really sells the drifting nature of social interactions in the bar. It's and then it it ends out with that nice little moment. I mean, not nice, but a good moment of Keiko and O'Brien, I guess the O'Briens, talking on the promenade, but I think it's actually there's one like long shot where the camera moves quite a bit that I was very impressed with. But I really like that. I mean, both of you have very strong scenes, but
They definitely invested a lot in the sets at the start of DS9.
And it doesn't look fake and plastic like a lot of Star Trek sets end up doing. You know, I mean, stuff like bridge sets usually don't, but, you know, he's like, oh, this is the hydroponics bay that we're going to use twice and throw away. You know, that's usually pretty bad. But Quark's is awesome. Like, it looks like a restaurant to me. Space restaurant.
So on the Senior Chief Petty Officer Miles Edward O'Brien official scale of torture, on a scale of 1 to 4 lights, how much was O'Brien tortured in this episode?
That's 0 to 4 lights, isn't it?
Yeah, we'll go
We
0
rated
to
it
4.
below 1.
Yeah. So you want to start, Chris?
I went with a 2.5 because the torture he's undergoing is the torture of trying to figure out how to help the person he loves, which I know that torture. It's not a fun torture, but it's something that you can handle. It is basically all we see of him until she starts the school, is just him kind of suffering with not being able to help his wife.
Right.
So 2.5 lights.
I went, because I love doing goofy numbers, I went 1.39, and I pretty much put the same thing. He has to endure the guilt he feels for bringing his family to this dangerous space station and really hurting his wife's career, honestly. We didn't really talk about that much.
She wasn't getting paid on the Enterprise. Who cares?
She did say, if she... That's right. She's not an officer. She's not in Starfleet, but
she's a botanist. She was a civilian expert on the Enterprise.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it was her purpose, and in that post-scarcity society where there is no money, then
unless you're on Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But that's the thing, is she came from a place where she didn't need to be paid. She was doing what she loved, and now she had to give up doing what she loves in order to take this, be there with O'Brien and his daughter. So yeah, there's a lot of that there. I also said only about a 2. Because he's struggling to help Keiko be happy, but she's not painting him as the villain or manipulating him. If she were more like,
you did this
blaming
to me.
him, if she were more doing that, and I'd say that it would be a higher score. But no, it's like you said, Matt, it's more about the guilt of, oh no, I've done this and I need to make it right.
Right.
And even though she was like, no, it's not your fault, like it's fine. I just have to figure it out.
Our next question is, and if you guys listened to our episode 0, and if you haven't, you should go back. We talked about how Chris and I kind of define science fiction, which is the narrative needs to be driven by technology. So if you can change the setting just a bit, is it really?
It's not necessarily the setting. It's, can you remove any kind of? Could it happen out on the street today? Kind of thing. Is no technology involved?
Right. Could the plot
technology
points,
isn't a driving factor?
Right. Could the plot points exist? Yeah. Right. Without the setting of technology. I put in a small sense, yes. If Odo, it's really Odo. Our interactions with Odo as an extraterrestrial are really, us as humans is really a consequence of technology. He's just completely alien, and his like shape-shifting ability is just a recipe for paranoia. Outside of that, and that I'm stretching it. Outside of that,
the cloning is the driving force of the plot. If there were no clone, we wouldn't even be suspecting, So as far as the clone is a large part of the story, that
the weakest part of the story.
Yes,
is what makes it
it is. Well,
yeah.
and the fact that Matt completely forgot.
Yeah.
That's their big driving thing is, the evidence is that this is a clone, right?
It's the ice bullet.
Well, if this was Matlock, it would have been a twin kind of thing. I think is why I didn't even think of that. But
I guess, yeah, but they find out what it is because they grow a new one in a tank, like with magic space water that bubbles.
You are right, though, that it's really undersold that they created a new human life.
Yeah, and he's just walking around.
He just goes and genetically identical to Ibudan. So does he get all of Ibudan's stuff?
Yeah.
Like what? How does that work? I don't know. Cisco just straight up glosses over it in his log. If this were TNG, that would be the whole episode.
Yeah.
It was like, we made a person. Who is this person? Is he the murderer? Is he his own person? I mean, we did this with the Thomas Riker episode where they find the transporter clone of Thomas Riker, which is the episode that confirms that I would never step into a transporter.
There's a good ethical question. Ibudan is a criminal, and if you created a clone with all the same memories,
is that the same person?
Is he as guilty of those same crimes?
Yeah, now that would be a good episode.
Yeah.
But they didn't write that episode.
No, they did not.
Well, and what's crazy to me is they're like, no, you knew it was a clone before it was fully developed. Why did you choose to let it become fully developed?
Right.
What is happening here?
So Julian does not believe in abortion, is what I'm getting from this.
That's a good point.
Is what it has to be.
Yeah.
The cycle started.
I don't know.
So I would argue that it is sci-fi because based on your definition, it is.
I said the same thing.
Yeah, it is sci-fi. However,
it's bad sci-fi.
And
it's poorly done sci-fi.
The plot line could be done in other areas, but this episode is driven by the cloning and the fact that Odo is an alien. But you could do that in different ways.
Yeah, the note I have on the clone is, clone just wanders off, not worthy of its own episode. Nobody cares about you. Oh my god.
Our next question has the most obvious answer. Who's the main character of the episode?
It's Odo.
It's
Odo.
ODO. Overall score 1 to 5. You can do fractions, you can do whatever you want, number you want, or 0 to 5. So
yeah.
Chris, what did you rate this episode?
That's a solid 2.
You and me right in line once again. Exactly my score.
And the way I look at it is, just to remind people who are listening, a 3 is an average score. A 3 is like, yeah, that was all right. This is not all right. This was, if we were not doing the podcast, this is a skipper. I'm not watching this one, you know?
I had 1.75. I couldn't give it a 2. I felt like the subject was bungled, right? We couldn't, what is the moral dilemma,
it's clumsy,
I guess?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the fact that, is this sci-fi? Yeah, but it's bad sci-fi. And they don't focus on a lot of the things that you think they would, naming the episode, what they did. It's mostly a character
The
episode.
clone was the man alone. That's what it was. They forgot about him, and he's just a man alone. Nobody loves him. He's just sent off into the wilderness.
Plot twist. I think it's mostly a character development episode that doesn't actually develop the character very much. And nothing really stood out as stellar. It wasn't utterly horrid.
Yeah.
So it's a 1.75. I could not give it a 2.
We got more Odo character development out of the last 2 episodes than we got out of the episode.
Out of the Odo episode?
Odo. Yeah. That's how you know something's gone wrong.
Yeah, I didn't think, there's nothing offensive about this episode to me. There's way worse Star Trek episodes. But
I think there's plenty offensive crap in this episode.
There's some offensive stuff in this, I would say. Things that, if it's a skipper, I'm finding something offensive about it. Because I don't necessarily skip episodes I find boring. But if it's like the storytelling isn't great, I can't watch Julian try to flirt with Jadzia anymore. I can't, and I'm going to have to. Because if memory serves, he just continually does that forever.
I guess for me, that
I do
stuff,
want to say,
as just a viewer, doesn't bother me that much. To me, it's these writers'
I can't do embarrassment humor though, and so if there's an embarrassing situation, I get embarrassed and I hate that.
But that's the thing, is I don't think it was meant to be humorous at all. I don't think they wrote that to be funny. I don't think that's embarrassment humor.
I don't know.
I think that you are a good man and therefore you find it embarrassing because you should. It is an embarrassment to mankind the way that he deals with Dax and his feelings
being
for her.
told, please stop. Yeah.
Yeah, won't even let her get to please stop. Right. She tries in a myriad of ways to tell him, I am not interested. Please stop. And he doesn't take no for an answer. He doesn't in any of the forms she gives it to him. And it's really uncomfortable for me. And I think it would be uncomfortable for most women. And it's uncomfortable for my husband, which I am very happy about because I was so upset that you were like, yeah, I like Bashir. I feel like I am Bashir.
Yeah. He's my favorite character is quickly not becoming Bashir. Yeah. I will like him again in the later seasons. I know that because that's what I remember him from. But
yeah, I wanted to say, speaking of the later seasons, I do remember what just happened.
Don't worry about it. I was fiddling and I dropped something. The ADD strikes again.
I do remember that later, Dax is married, right? To Worf?
Yes.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Okay, well.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe you ruined it.
I'm just saying.
You ruined it.
She doesn't find anything wrong bumping uglies with him later.
Yeah, so there's a bit of a retcon there because
she does marry Bashir, though.
What?
Let's get deep into the spoilers. Let's get deep into the soul.
I don't remember this.
What? Do you not remember Deep Space Nine?
Bashir?
Dax gets with Bashir. How do you forget?
Oh, Ezri.
Yes.
Ezri Dax gets with Bashir. The Dax nobody likes.
We're trying to avoid spoilers for the most part, but I don't know. Whatever.
Well, if you're talking about the relationship that he's trying to have.
If you like Ezri Dax, I'm sorry that I said nobody likes her, but you're wrong.
But,
anyway, I'm sorry. You can cut out the spoiler if you want, but like
no. This show ended in like 2002 or something like that.
Chris, you said one spoiler that I did edit out because I think it is a spoiler that matters. That kind of the Jadzia and that I don't know the plot that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I just because you guys talk about Worf coming back, and if you didn't know that,
I can't wait for Worf to come back because it's gonna make Matt so mad the whole time.
It is. Yes.
Anyway, I just think it's kind of funny that later, she's like, "Yeah, I'll get married and be with this person."
Yeah,
and
I
wonder how.
That's another part of this episode that's bad because this is the only time that she's like, Trill, try to avoid these kind of relationships because we've moved beyond it. No, because Curzon was a horn dog, and later on, it's clear that Jadzia is also a horn dog.
She just tries to use it as please don't talk to me. Another reason to say that she is not interested in Bashir.
Because there are jokes between her and Kira about her dating like species that have like tentacles and stuff. Or I don't remember what it was, but they're like, really? And she was like, yeah, he was great. It's like perfect gentleman, had a great time. I don't remember what the species was, but Kira was clearly like, oh my gosh, and Jadzia was like, it was great. So,
well, this episode's gone pretty long, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a bow on it here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the episode.
That was an episode.
If next one is episode 5, which is Babel, and
I remember this one.
A mysterious virus plagues the station, causing aphasia and eventually death. And this is one of the episodes I kind of remember, and I have positive memories of this episode. We'll see if that holds up. Brian's a big part of this episode, as I recall.
Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. I recall liking this. I don't know if that'll stay true. In our next episode, Mike's gonna guest star. Our friend Mike, whose favorite movie is Star Trek: The Generations. Not just his favorite Star Trek movie, by the way. His favorite of all movies is Star Trek.
Oh, that's his favorite of all movies?
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
Every movie ever made.
What happened
Star
to
Trek
him?
Generations? I don't know.
Who hurt him?
Born funny, I guess. But
does he just love watching the Enterprise crash?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? I don't know. Or he's like, Kirk died twice.
We are gonna. I don't know if we'll do a whole Generations, but I think we might dedicate a little bit of time on the next episode to talk about Generations. And
I think you're gonna have to because there is a dichotomy there.
Yeah, and I'm mostly teasing.
Sure.
I'm kind of teasing him there, but I think we will talk about that a little bit, and maybe your theory about Cisco being the butterfly effect.
Oh, I can't wait for that. It is true. I'm right. Cisco's fault.
Well, I'm Matthew, signing off for Chris and Lela, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Thanks for having me.
Goodbye.